some tactical pastor videos on YouTube. I do once in a while, but we want to have a special episode. I've got an amazing guest, but we are going to be talking about getting prepped for, or getting prepared. Prepped is a bit of a trigger word. I know for some of you, it makes you cry and sad and all those things. But getting prepared for an evacuation, because we know that there's a lot of people doing that tonight. So let's get started. What is up? Okay, we're back. Here we go. I want to tell you about one of my best friends, absolutely spectacular human being. His name is Philip Larson Sr., for those of you trying to find him on the socials. But anyway, he is a combat veteran. He is a pastor. He is a law enforcement chaplain in Alaska, and an all-around amazing dude. He has seen some real soupy stuff in his life, and I am super appreciative of everything he's been through. He has been a superb friend to me, and he and I are going to walk through our top 10 lists of things to be prepared for. So if you would, welcome my friend Phil Larson. Phil, how are you doing tonight? Hold on, let me make sure that you're unmuted. I'm going to get you. There we go. Say hi to the people.
Oh, that's quite the intro. I deserve none of that.
Oh, dude, you absolutely do, brother. Thank you so much, man. I got to tell you, I lean on your wisdom so often, especially in realm of tactical stuff. You're the tacticalest pastor that I know, and you are by far one of the more knowledgeable people when it comes to preparedness. You are a solid preparer, but you are not a crazy person, and that's what I really like about you. You have 6 months worth of food, but you do not have tinfoil hats. So I think that there is a fine line sometimes between those two scenarios. People might notice it's legit smoky in my church right now. I'm coming live from Bridge Church in the Dalles, Oregon. But I'll tell you, I was expecting where I normally broadcast from to be fine inside, because my house isn't really all that smoky. But the church, evidently, we got some sealing up to do. I think that's the big trick there. So anyway, so Phil, let's talk a little bit about the difference between bugging out and evacuating, because they're very different conversations, and we're not talking about bugging out tonight. That's a whole nother issue, but I want you to kind of unpack. I think you have a great perspective on that. Fire away.
The bug out versus bug in.
There you go. Well, bug out versus bug in, but then also what evacuating looks like, right? So I see bug out as like you're probably never going home again. It's all over. The world has hit the SHTF situation, and you're just trying to get to a different place.
The larger
forever.
Conversation of should you bug out or bug in.
There it is. That's
video.
a whole different video, right?
Whole different realm of whatever, and you know it sells a lot of cool looking backpacks on Amazon.
It sells a lot of cool looking backpacks, and most of them are super dumb because they look
junky.
They look tactical, and then everybody knows what's inside of them, and so it's really super dumb. Yeah. But anyway, but the difference between like bug out and evacuating, like an
evac situation.
Yeah, evac situation. Fire away.
Sure. Evac situation. The reality is natural disasters do happen. Unnatural disasters happen less often. The idea behind an evacuation is that someone has told you, or you have determined that you should leave where you are and go somewhere else.
Right.
So a lot of people in Oregon right now are having to make some difficult decisions. I think a lot of people were woke up to officials and people who are worried about them knocking on the doors and saying, go now.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know in Alaska, we're wildfire country here, and we have that happen. I've been on evac orders as a civilian in Alaska multiple times.
Yeah.
Um, I've even listened to them. Never.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and you, I mean, you've been on trips, you've been on business trips, and you've been on hunting trips when you got the call like, hey, your house is being evacuated, and some friends have gone and helped you and things like that. So there's some of
sure.
that happens too. Just living in
Friends are good.
living in solid community, right? I mean, that's a big deal.
Friends are good. Yeah. And that's one of the first things you do. I suppose when I think about the idea or concept of evacuation, the first thing that comes to mind is the first three rules of evacuation, which is have a plan,
Have a plan.
right?
Yep.
The second rule is have a backup plan.
There you go.
The third rule, if you could guess it, is
Tertiary plan. That's right. So yeah.
when we plan, we fail less.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
When we train, we hopefully will fall back to the level of training and planning that we have done. And so if someone's knocking on your door saying leave now,
Yeah.
it's really the wrong time to think about, well, what should I take, and
Correct.
Should I leave, and where will I go?
Right.
What will I do?
Right.
It is too late. A good example of that, someone that I know evac'd in this recent fire just a couple days ago, and just something said, besides the knock on the door, said go now, and they felt that that flight response,
Right.
put all important things that they could think of in 10 or 15 minutes that they gave themselves, and left.
And we're going to talk about those important things that we're supposed to load up in the vehicle.
We will.
That's going to be the big thing.
I noticed that they, at that point, the next day, spent quite a bit of time at Walmart.
Right. Yeah. And here's the story. In East or in Western Oregon, 500,000 people have been displaced. I'm guessing those Walmarts are not going to have a lot on their shelves very soon. You could see some real shortages of supplies. You could see some food shortages. You could see a lot of other things. So relying on Walmart in a crisis situation, it's probably not super healthy in my opinion.
Not a great idea. And quite honestly, relying on your friends and buddies to take care of you,
well,
not the greatest idea.
Again, yes, you're right. Friends and buddies are awesome, and praise God for them, right? But I'm hearing of people who have been. So shout out to my friend Christopher Kaufman. He's pastor in Lake Oswego, and they just set up. They just set up their church as a shelter center, and so they're housing people. Some of those people have already been re-evac'd twice, so they're on their third evac. And they're in Lake Oswego, which is at a level 1. So they could actually climb and go, and that church is surrounded by a very densely wooded area. So, I mean, they could all be evac'd again. So let's just face it. This could go really sideways for a lot of people, but praise God for churches who are willing to say, hey, you can throw a bedroll down on the floor. We got bathrooms you can use. God bless these churches that are leading from the front right now.
Yeah.
Super.
But I don't like to borrow underwear.
I don't like to borrow underwear. In fact, I'm just spoiler alert. That's on my list. Actually,
it's funny. I mean, I don't usually wear any, so I didn't put it on my list.
Yo, good. Oh, that's awesome. Hey, by the way, I just want to give a shout out to our mutual friend Marsh. He's saying you can't see the comments because you're just on the Skype call, but he says, "Hey, Phil!" exclamation point. So yeah, and then we've got a yo-yo man from Patrick Weed, always with the tactical. Yes, thank you, Patrick. Yep, that's us for sure. More Phil than me. I'm a tactical potato. Let's be honest. So anyway, let's jump into our list. We don't want this broadcast to be 100 years long. So you are the guest. So I would like to hear your first item first.
All right, I'm going to preface.
Please do.
Of course. I'm in the world of appraisal and valuations, so we always have certain assumptions and limiting conditions.
Right.
Yeah. I'm going to preface this with, you should have certain items in your car at all times already.
Oh, thank you. I was going to say that exact same. You should have a decent car kit going. I shouldn't have tow strap on this list because you should already have a tow strap. I shouldn't have to put like a saw, some kind of saw for clearing a road. Like you should have a Silky or, I mean, hey, if you go crazy, you can have a chainsaw if you want,
I have one in my truck. It's there all the time.
Yep.
A couple of things that are in my car kit all the time in all my cars, water, and the amounts that varies. Water, toilet paper, first aid kit, headlamp, the means to make fire, shelf-stable food for 24 hours, pet supplies, which in my case is children's supplies, eyewear, and bandanas. And that was just kind of the couple of things off the top of my head as I was starting this list. I went, this isn't really stuff I would grab for my house because it would already be in either one of my vehicles should I jump into it and leave.
I'm already the loser because some of those things, but I have some different quantities that I normally carry in my car kit. So like, yeah, so I'm already the loser. So anyway, go. So
I decided to go ahead.
I was just saying, so bypassing the car kit, which we agree, people already do a bad job of having. And let's just be real. Like, it doesn't have to be a fire evacuation. I mean, I-84 got shut down for 2.5 days winter before last because of ice and snow. I've been stuck on I-5 for 6 or 8 hours because of a car accident, because you get stuck between the exits. And I was trapped for 24 hours on I-70 in Colorado. I mean, without a decent car kit, you can be sideways, way outside of an evac situation.
Well, I thought about that, and as I was thinking and writing a couple of notes for this, in the last 3 years, I have been separated from my house by being somewhere else and not able to get home due to a road closure, natural disaster, or let's just face it, in some people, redeployment. You think you're going home and then you immediately turn around and go somewhere else. And that happens in law enforcement and the chaplain world all the time, right?
Sure.
The crisis world.
Absolutely.
So those things aside, around 24 times, I've not been able to go home when I wanted to go home.
Right.
And some of those involve being more than a 24-hour delay.
Yeah.
And at least half of the time, being in Alaska, it was not in a cellular reception zone. So there was no data or cell.
Yep.
So, which brings me to the other item.
You couldn't you couldn't text Lydia and say, "Bring me snacks." Is that what you're trying to say?
Well, to be honest, I could because I planned for that.
Okay, cool.
So, part of my truck kit involves a Garmin InReach.
Nice. That's so much more effective than the silly garbage toy Spot Connect thing.
Spot Connect doesn't work in Alaska, and I learned that the hard way on a 30-day hunt in the wilderness. Yep. Actually, I had a great time. I wasn't worried.
There were those of us back here monitoring your trip. We were worried, but that's okay because your spot just stopped. Your spot just stopped, and you were not broadcasting anymore. And it was you were just one spot in the wilderness. I finally reached out, and Lydia was like, "There's sun flares right now. The GPS stuff is down." I'm like, "Okay, cool."
And let's face it, I have a reputation of doing things really, really far out in the middle of nowhere.
Like tearing your leg off, things like that. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get to
FEMA.
first official item. FEMA. Go for it. FEMA.
No, because I noticed that almost none of my items were on FEMA's list. So FEMA says, you noticed that also? FEMA says 1 gallon of drinking water per person each day, a battery-powered or hand crank radio, flashlight, first aid kit, whistle, dust mask, moist towelettes, pliers or wrench, local maps, and chargers for cell phones. And some of those things are not terrible things. Right. We won't make fun of the special children that work at FEMA.
Listen, I just imagine these people who are like really city folks that don't have any other tools. They just have one wrench in their bag, and it's like a 10 millimeter, right? And that's because it's the one that's gone missing from all of our toolkits, right? You know, I mean, like, and oh man, what in the world? No, and some of those things, I guess I already carry in my car kit, like you say. I have wet towelettes in my car. Those were not things that jumped into my brain. So anyway, FEMA, very good.
I have means
of
making water.
Yeah.
Good place to start.
Right.
Pat them on the head. All right, my number 10. Are you ready?
Fire away.
Number 10, the 10th least important.
And admittedly, I didn't super rank mine.
You didn't rank them. Yeah, mine are in order.
Okay.
Mine are in order.
Okay.
Non-replaceable items that you are able to take with you.
Right.
And the key to this one is and protect once you have them.
Yes.
In other words, if you remove them from your home or wherever you're leaving, is that a safer option for those items than leaving them and potentially having them ride through whatever is happening?
Yes.
So something to consider. If you remove this, um, let's just face it, in these things, there are people who prey on whoever they can.
Right.
And a lot of cars get broken into.
Right.
And you can't take everything that you took with you into the shelter.
Right. Right.
Okay, that's
right.
my least important item.
So my least important item was it actually this one does coincide with FEMA just because I started with water, because I normally have X amount of bottled water or those cool emergency bag waters in my car, but I definitely recommend that if you're going to take off and you don't know when you're going to be home, I would have 3 days worth of water per person. So I was thinking quantity at that point. Like I can make water. There's always a water filtration kit in my car. I mean, I've always got iodine tablets in my car, but I think just a good starting point. So that was my first and least, because it's least because I can make water, and I live by the Columbia River, so like I've got water, but at the same time, not having to process it and not having to make water for a few days, to me, seems like a valuable place. But that's just me.
Okay. So I was thinking natural disaster, and the reality is you're going somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's probably not camping.
Right. Probably not camping.
So the one thing that is pretty easy to get in these situations is bottled water.
Yeah, I suppose that's true.
No,
so I probably
but nothing wrong with it because I already have some in my truck.
No. I think it's what it does is it helps me reevaluate and it changes my list. So hopefully that's what's going to happen as we go through here. So I'll go with my number 2 least. I think I'm kind of self-sorting right now just because you challenged me. So mine is full tanks of gas and a couple of backup fuel cans, because I don't know how far or how long it's going to take me. I don't know if I'm going to be sitting on the road in a traffic jam. And if I am there, I would like, especially in smoke situations, my cabin filters, I'd like for them to keep running. I'd like for them to keep kind of trying to keep my air clean. I'd like my family to be remotely comfortable. So if I need some extra fuel, and again, I am thinking broader than just this situation. I mean, natural disaster in the wintertime, I like to have some extra fuel in the back of my truck. And so that's kind of my next place.
That's a good item, and I keep extra fuel, at any place that I have rights to be. So every office, every house, every wherever.
Sure.
I don't typically carry fuel, but my primary vehicle, since we're given a choice, is obviously my truck, and my truck has the ability to run for a little over 12 hours and travel 600 miles on the fuel that is in the tank.
You have a way cooler truck than me. I want to just say that. Like, I mean, my beat up old Dodge is not even. I mean, I just yours is better. Your truck is better than my truck. Your truck is better than my truck.
It's not a contest. The point is, as you're saying, you need to.
It might be a contest.
You need to have a plan.
It might be.
Yeah, you need to. Is it? Okay.
It might be. In the game of survival.
In the game of survival.
Yeah.
The reality is, the context is important there too. Where are you going? This goes back to what we said originally. Have a plan. So where's your plan? Where's your alternate plan? And where's your tertiary plan? And we do this in flying as well. As a pilot, if I'm flying somewhere, whether it's VFR or IFR, I have an alternate airport to land at.
Yeah.
Not only that, I have stops along the way, because if a child suddenly has to go to the bathroom, I want it happening outside of the airplane and not inside. I have a backup. I have a backup plan that involves things that turn to gel that are amazing.
Right.
And things can happen inside this airplane safely.
I'll give that an honorable mention, actually, as far as like just preparedness to deal with human waste, because I think you probably do need a little bit of a plan depending on where you're evacuating to. If you're not going to a shelter and you're trying to get like significantly far away, you're trying to get to grandma's house and she's 5 or 6 hours away and you don't know what the traffic's going to be like. I think especially with kiddos.
I know that you carry the means of kiddos and whoever
Yeah.
not having to go into a public restroom.
Yes.
And I do the same thing.
Yes, 100%.
Because diseases are real.
Yeah.
And we don't want our children to get them.
Yeah, especially right now. I mean, and hey, right now, during the dreaded C word, that a lot of public
Chinese
bathrooms
word.
are closed. A lot of no,
Yeah.
I can't do it.
Well, I don't want to catch that from the toilet, because
Right.
the toilet Chinese flu
Oh no,
is like Montezuma's revenge thing. I mean, now it's more like a Southern America thing. No, it's not. All right.
Okay. Moving
Did you
on.
get to my number 9?
No, I got to number 2. I'm on number 2.
Here's my number 9.
Your number. Okay,
Least
your number 9. Yep.
Yeah. So this is the second least important, and this is something most people probably don't think about. But sleeping supplies.
Yeah. Oh,
And I'm
definitely
gonna
on my
expand.
list. Definitely
Yeah,
on my list.
but I'm going to expand. I think maybe I have one you don't have. We'll
Okay.
see.
Okay.
First of all, the normal pads, right?
Right.
Whether it's a air mattress or foam or whatever.
Or cot if you've got the space for it, whatever.
Those are awesome, and they're all of those things so much better than the gym floor in a school or church.
Right.
Which is potentially where you're going to end up. Or let's face it, the garage of someone's house, because if they're being nice to you but they don't know you, your place might be the garage.
Right.
Or certainly the floor.
Right.
So being able to sleep is vital to being able to function and think coherently. And so the ability to sleep comfortably and safely is very important. Along those lines, part of my sleep kit is a small dome tent.
Yeah, I like that plan.
Self-contained, 2 or 3 man, $19 Walmart special.
Okay.
Can be set up in a gym or a church or a friend's living room, and it gives you a small amount of privacy.
Right.
And it gives you a small amount of containment. And if you have small children,
Yeah.
then you understand the importance of knowing where they're going in the middle of the night in someone else's house or in a strange place.
Correct.
And it's one more layer of safety and containment.
Yeah.
And out of sight, out of mind. If you're going to leave your phone or wallet or anything somewhere in a shelter situation, it's just best that it's inside of something else. Tents take up zero space.
I love that, because I have seen, like news broadcasts of shelters, and I have seen people with their little pup tents set up in those shelters, kind of like in the zone where their cot would be. I've seen people say, we're going to choose to sleep on the floor so we can have some privacy. I see that being very valuable for women who want to be able to change clothes. And again, it's really hard for a little one to get out of a tent in the middle of the night without you knowing.
That's right.
And it's really hard for somebody who, may or may not have nefarious plans to get into a tent to grab a kid without you knowing. All of the zippers jingling and the whole thing moving around and making lots of noise. It's really important.
No, it's a good idea. It works well. And, let's just face it, not everyone has the same boundaries as we do.
Correct.
And a lot of people figure if it's left out in the open, it's open for discussion or playing with.
Correct.
All right.
So I'll
do one more.
Oh yeah, you do more. Well, it's your turn to go again. Yeah.
So number 8 for me is soaps.
Okay.
Tide Pods.
Yep.
The ability to wash clothes.
Yeah.
One of the things I learned being in deployed areas where we hire people who come from other countries who are not our friends, wash our laundry.
Right.
You don't always get your laundry back. And so I have learned that I can wash my underwear, socks, and other things in a Ziploc bag with an extremely small amount of soap efficiently.
Yeah.
And you can throw a kit together very easily. And one of the things is you can usually ask to borrow or utilize some sort of laundry facilities.
Right.
But bringing your own soap makes that a lot easier. If you say, I have my own supplies, can I use your washing machine?
Yeah, that's true.
That is useful. Okay? So give something valuable. Don't be completely on the take.
Absolutely.
Which is an important concept when you've left your house and are leaning on others. Have some value to offer, whether in assisting or helping or
Correct.
being a part of the community that you just formed, or even some repairs or whatever, and you'll find that you'll get a lot further.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
all right, that's those are all still really low down on my list, but they are among the things that would go out the door with me.
Right on. Okay, so my 8, and I love that. That's super, super valuable stuff, because I definitely had, I'll get to my toiletry stuff and it definitely includes soap. But I love the laundry detergent add-on. That's the right way to go. Clothes soap, as we say in the South, clothes soap. And so anyway,
they have things other than borax.
yeah, that's exactly right. So, okay, so mine is going to sound a little strange if you're headed to a shelter or you're headed to a person's house, but because I find that non-perishable food items are an important anywhere. I think it's about contributing where you're going. If you're going to go sleep on someone's floor or your garage, it's nice for them to know that you have your own food, and you're not going to be able to stop and get groceries. You're not going to have a way to keep all that cold. Coolers take up a lot of space. So, I recommend things like O-meals. You have extensive experience with things like MREs, meals ready to explode, right? Those kinds of things. But those are really great. Mountain House and other freeze-dried foods, those often require fire. And some kind of camp stove, which is normally in my car kit, right? I got it. But just, that's sometimes a little goofy. Also, it does sometimes take a day or two to get a shelter online. And so being able to go outside, prepare a quick meal in the back of your car, and feed your family without having to be hungry like the rest of the people in the building. I think those things can be good. So my recommendation is 3 days worth of prepared non-perishable food items per person in your family. And don't forget the pets, right? So water, my water earlier, I don't know if I said don't forget your pets, but you're going to hear me say don't forget your pets a lot. I'll get to toiletries, don't forget your pets, right? And those kinds of things.
Yeah, other people don't love your pets and children as much as you do.
They don't.
Yeah.
Yep.
So good stuff. I don't provision for food a whole lot because, again, I've got that 24 hours, and quite honestly, my children just have to suck it up. We're not eating for 12 hours. Let's go.
Yep. It's true.
All right. So my next item is let's see, number 7 here. This to me is important. Now we're starting to get more into the specific. This is a hopefully limited time evac. The problem being you don't know if you're ever going home. Right. So number 7 is any special tools that you need to do your job.
Right. Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So extremely important. If you've got some specialty tools, and are not talking like bring your whole Snap-on box,
right?
But if you work in an office and you need a certain book or a certain laptop or a certain anything, you take it with you, because the ability to continue to work is going to be vital.
It's critical
to rebuilding your life.
Critical. Absolutely.
You need to be able to go to work. And I have another item that'll get into that. I'll add to it later because in my mind it's even more important.
Yeah.
But that's it for me. Special tools needed to do your job.
Yep. Absolutely. I've got that's on my list as well. It's coming up here pretty soon. So my next one, and I think you're absolutely right. That's 100% got to be on the list. So my next one falls into similar what you already said. So toiletries, your TP, your soaps, your whatever. Inside of my toiletry kit is always my medication, those kinds of things. And I absolutely added detergents into that thanks to you. Just a second. So yeah, I mean, I think having an extensive toiletry kit should be able to get you about a week down the road. If you are a person that I have one medicine that I take weekly, and I have one medicine that I take every day, and then I've got a couple supplements, right? Like I would just grab all of those as I was walking out the door. I wouldn't just be like, well, here's the portion for this week. I wouldn't take time to count them out and put them in the pill collector, which I'm not quite old enough to have yet. But inside of all of that, I think medicine.
Pretty much all veterans over the age of 19 have those.
Oh, really? Really? That's the thing. You guys do that. You guys do that regularly. Okay.
It's Motrin.
Clean socks and Motrin, right?
Percocet, Motrin.
Yeah. I thought clean socks counted as medicines for you.
No, I think that, Oxy was a big thing about 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they said they had to stop giving it to us, like candy.
Well, I think that it's wise for them to stop producing drug addicts, right? I mean, that's probably a good idea.
Do what you got to do to get the job done. My number 6 is almost exactly what you have. Medications is where I put that in with mine. In my case, I do 30 days of your common stuff,
Right.
as in anything that you can get a prescription, reasonably get refilled,
Right.
get in an emergency. But there are some things that you can't do that with.
Sure.
And anybody who's got some weird, funky medicine stuff going on with their life,
Yep.
they have these. And quite honestly, your pets. Right? Nobody cares about whatever drug is keeping your dog alive.
Right.
Like you.
It's true.
It's not a priority.
It's true.
And so if there's anything in that category, it's 90-day supply for me.
Yes, absolutely.
It's 90-day supply. And we have a go bag, we have a medic kit, and there's far more in there than I'm qualified to ever touch or use, which is, plenty okay, because I know people who know more than me.
Right.
And the reality is I want people to use my supplies on me because I know my stuff is good.
Right. Yeah, because you rotate it and keep it up to date and those kinds of things. Absolutely.
I absolutely do.
Yeah, and that's that's awesome. And medic gear would definitely be on this list if it didn't always live in my truck, right? So
it's in my truck.
Always
actually,
have,
I don't.
Yeah,
I don't leave mine in my truck anymore because of freezing.
Oh yeah, you guys have a whole lot. You have a whole lot. I mean, I rotate things like my chest seals and my nasal pharyngeal airways and things like that about yearly. Uh-oh, did I lose Philip? Did I lose Phil? There you are. You're back. You're back.
Okay.
You blinked for just a second. Okay. So is it my turn?
Go ahead.
Okay. So I said 1 week of socks and underwear, 3 days of clothes, and 1 set of sleeping clothes. So
very simple.
That's going to always include like the appropriate jackets and stuff that goes along with it. Probably
seasonally appropriate.
Seasonally appropriate. I'm going to have muck boots in the wintertime. I'm going to have some hikeable shoes in the summertime. And probably usually I have water shoes and stuff like that in the truck as well. So yeah, I mean, I would highly, highly, highly recommend, and especially if you are going to a shelter, which this might be a good time to pause and talk a little bit about that. I don't know what your thoughts are.
What does a shelter environment look like?
Yeah, if I were going to a church or something, I mean, that's one thing. I would probably stay, if it were me, I would probably try to stay away from a government shelter. But you need to do what's right for you. And I'm just saying I would try. If it was my last resort and I absolutely needed a dry place to sleep, I would go there. There are going to be some pieces of my equipment that might cause problems with my acceptance in through that door. We'll get to that in a little while. But
yeah, weird. That's further up on the list.
Yeah, it's further up on the list for me too, for sure. Inside of all of that, I don't know. What are your thoughts on like a government FEMA shelter, those kinds of things? Red Cross, whatever it might be.
Yeah. So, I guess it's not likely that I'm going to go and stay in a shelter with my family.
Right.
It's highly probable that I myself will end up either working and being a part of whatever is happening in the response at a shelter.
Right.
And if not, and that may not be appropriate, but
right.
I will certainly acquire supplies at a shelter.
Absolutely.
And to be honest, a lot of times the mindset of our family and the dynamics and to the level that I have trained my wife, I will send my wife.
Yeah.
Because people will help women.
Yeah, it's true.
And my wife knows how to take care of herself quite well. She certainly knows how to get me appropriately involved, and I'm never going to be probably further than eyesight anyway.
Correct. Yes. Absolutely.
Let's just say she'd be covered.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
But sometimes women can get more accomplished in these types of environments, and the reality is, it's get in, get what you need, and get out.
Get out again
without raising attention to yourself.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's that whole kind of gray man factor. You kind of just need to just blend into the the sheep. Get your meal and then move along.
Sure.
Yeah. That's kind of my perspective as well. I think a lot of people Well, I mean, I think a lot of times nefarious bad actors, they target moments like this, and so right now we're seeing people being caught looting houses. I saw a video on Wrangler Star's channel the other day where he had shot some video and some footage of some folks, and then went back like a few minutes later because he was like, that didn't smell right. Those guys were stealing something, and if they hadn't been, they wouldn't have left the side by side there. They clearly knew their picture was being taken, and so they ran. I think he took that video down, but I've seen lots and lots of people. Jessie Lee, she's a country music singer out of Estacada, and she did a post today that I think her brother-in-law apprehended some folks trying to. I mean, and there are houses actively burning to the ground in Estacada, right? Like there are people
Yes.
losing everything in Estacada, and there are folks that are still running around trying to get stuff. And I just find that is just the most despicable human being. And so I would hesitate wanting my family to be like locked into a shelter situation where I would not be connected to who might be a bad actor in that.
No, those are good thoughts. And another thing to perhaps consider is let's from an Alaskan perspective, we have a thing here where if you are truly in need, if you are caught in a desperate situation, which, let's be honest, in a fire like this could possibly be articulated. And not to say that there aren't nefarious people out there, but be careful also, because there is genuine human need as well. My car broke down and they told us to evacuate, and they're scared, right? The reality is, if you think that your family's going to get caught behind that fire line, you may decide to borrow someone's vehicle.
Sure. That's
So
that's a big
let's be
difference.
careful of our targets.
Yeah, let's be careful of that. But that's different than the folks like taking boxes of goods out of somebody's house, right?
I get it. And I've got a shrimp pot that they fit in with only like 2 cuts.
Right. Exactly right.
But number 5 on my list plays into some of these concerns as well. And for me, it's communication devices.
Sure.
And by communication devices, I mean, obviously a cell phone is your small computer.
Absolutely.
And it goes with you wherever you are okay with being tracked and recorded. And the ability to keep that thing running means chargers and power banks.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, I mean, even in the airport, how many outlets are there?
Right. Mine lives in a power bank all the time. I get 2 solid days no matter what. Uh-oh. Phil's chopping up on us here again. He's going to pop back in any second. There he goes again. We got him. We got him back.
Okay. Yeah. This is a what size is this?
I showed you an Apple device and your computer shut off. I just
3,000 milliamp.
I just want to show you. I showed you an Apple device and your computer shut off. Like it was
So
very.
you're frozen on me.
Oh, I am. Keep talking. You're good.
Let me know when you can hear me again.
I got you, buddy. I got you. I can hear you. So we'll edit this out in post later on. But I got you, Phil. You're good. You can keep talking. Can you hear me yet? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? We're gonna get him back in just a second. I'm gonna recall him here, everybody. We'll just hang tight here, and we will recall him right now. Oh, wait a second. Hold on. Can you hear me now, Phil? No. Skype. Here we go. Let's try this. We lost him, and now we're going to get him back again. I want him to be a part of the rest of this conversation, everybody. I don't know if you can hear the music that's happening. Maybe not. Ooh.
I got transported.
You got transported to the mountains. To the mountains, sir. All right, we lost you. You were holding up your device or your cell phone or something.
Yeah. Well, anyway, the point being,
we'll edit that in post for the YouTube.
You'll edit it in post. It'll look smooth and everything else. So,
buddy.
Other than power banks, right? Power banks, solar chargers. I have a portable turbine device that you can plop into any sort of moving water. Anything over 6 mile per hour wind will also supply power, and it will charge cell phones and power banks.
Wow.
Recharges my power banks.
That's great.
We also have a set of throwaway FRS radios
Okay.
that are pre-tuned with privacy mode. And just in case anybody doesn't know what privacy mode means, is that you don't hear other people.
Okay.
They hear everything you say, right? Privacy mode and all that. It's not digital encryption. It means it's a filter.
Right.
On your side.
Yeah.
But that keeps your children from hearing things they shouldn't hear.
Right. Doesn't mean that other people can't hear your location and what you're talking about and things like that.
That's correct. So OPSEC and, the time to develop your secret family code is not in the moment.
No.
Plan.
Correct.
All right. That's my item, communication devices and the support of those communication devices.
Right. Okay. That's awesome.
Cheers.
So mine goes back to one you've already mentioned, which is laptop/work stuff. So for me, this laptop, this camera equipment is kind of right now pretty critical to what I do. I can make church happen from anywhere with this equipment, which is wonderful because currently we're making church happen in the parking lot, right? We can share the gospel. We can share helpful tips and tricks on how to prepare for evacuation times. Those kinds of things. We can do that anywhere we want, when we want, and that's important to me. So my special equipment, and I'm going to have my camera equipment, I'm going to have my laptop stuff, all that. Yours, like you said, might be that critical piece of the Snap-on box. It might be the tools of the trade. It might be your carpenter trailer. Although sometimes trailers can be cumbersome to evac with, but because sometimes they can be hard to park and hard to secure and all those things. But you might want to bring those things, especially if you are a contractor. You are a contractor.
You're going to become essential.
You're going to become essential, and you having your tools is going to be really important because there's going to be a lot of folks in Estacada, in Silverton, in these places that desperately need to have their homes repaired or rebuilt. So you don't want to let your tools go away if you need them.
It's amazing what you're going to end up having to pay someone else to do if you can't do it yourself. And something as simple as changing the tire on your car can become a very expensive thing when there's no one to do it and you don't have the tools to do it.
Correct.
And so the reality is all of this is really just a measure of making emergency situations inconveniences rather than emergencies.
Yeah, slightly more tolerable. Really, it's kind of what we're trying to do. I mean, let's just face it. If you leave your house and your house burns down, you never get to go home again. It will never be a good situation. It will never be a happy thing. But if you can at least put on clean socks and underwear every day, like that's going to change.
Continue to go to work and collect a paycheck.
Because what is happening in your mind and in your spirit, inside of those moments, that's going to be your most critical survival tool, right? I mean, keeping the faith alive, keeping those moments of positivity attached to who you are. I know one dude that packs a bunch of candy in his survival box. It's not me. I know you're going to think it's me, but it's not me. But he's just like, I just want to every few hours I just want to be able to give my kiddo a little bag of Skittles or something. My truck box has a couple of brand new toys like in the package so that I can hand one back to Tripp and he can unwrap Spider-Man or whatever and have something to goof with for a few hours. But that's my truck box, So having some of those things that just keep your spirit alive is a big deal. And those aren't really in this list, but having your tools, that keeps your spirit alive too. You're up. You're next.
Yeah, well, it can
You're
make
next.
a difference. So, yeah, mine was the clothes. So you talked about clothes. We've talked about things for work. Basically, as far as I'm concerned, you bring 2 pairs of appropriate work clothes for whatever your work environment is.
Right.
And those are separate from clothes for rebuilding, rooting through debris. I'm talking proper dust masks, face shields, hard hats, even work gloves. People don't think about work gloves, thick leather work gloves.
Yep, absolutely.
And appropriate safety toe boots.
Yep.
And if you've ever walked through a hurricane or a natural disaster or anything like that, or even just a construction zone.
Right.
You need to have the proper set of footwear, because if you're going back and trying to sift through what's left of your house or your neighbor's house or someone else's house, the reality is you step on sharp things.
Yep.
And if you're not wearing the appropriate footwear, something goes through the bottom of your foot. Now
Man.
you have a bad situation.
You have a very bad situation. So Marsh brought up something.
So-
I think it was a comment that he made during when I was talking about trailer. He says, "Are you going to trailer everywhere you go?" Yeah. If you took the tools of your trade, if you took a trailer, you are now obligated having that trailer all the time. You're never going to disconnect that and leave that anywhere, right? There's no impervious hitch lock that guarantees your well, yeah.
I'm not going to leave it at my church. I'm not going to leave it at the shelter. Am I going to leave it at my buddy's house?
Right.
Maybe.
Right.
Okay.
And I don't throw any shade at Marsh. I think he left his trailer at his church. I think I talked to him about that the other day.
Well, I know where that church is, and I know just how unsecure that parking lot is.
Fair enough. That's true.
I've dealt with a number of people in that church parking lot doing drugs and other nefarious things.
That's a good point. Yeah, Marsh, man, you keep your eyes peeled, buddy. Okay, so let's see. So this is where sleep system falls onto my category. I don't need to unpack that. You did an even better job than me. I didn't
shower shoes.
Shower shoes. Yeah, that should be
shower shoes.
Shower shoes. Is that a line item on your list, or you're just saying? Oh, it is. Yeah.
No. Well, no, you're not. It's part of sleepwear for me, which you had mentioned.
Right.
But the reality is, you go to anybody's house. If you're going to go over to a teenager's house, you don't want to catch what's on their feet. If you're going to go to whatever shelter's happening, you may go somewhere to take showers. You might go to a truck stop to take a shower. You might go who knows where.
You'll be peeing on your feet 100 years to try to get rid of that funk, man. That's not
shower
cool.
shoes.
Shower
shoes.
Totally agree.
Okay. They also work for being in someone else's house. If they're clean, it's their indoor shoes then.
Well, a lot of people don't like you to wear shoes in their house, which I totally agree. I'm 100% about that. But like I'm a big dude. Like I'm clocking in at like the 400, 425, right? You know what I mean? So like I gotta, I don't go barefoot. That's not an option. So there's always going to be a pair of slippers or a pair of shower shoes in my box that can become slippers, or flip flops that can become slippers, because I can't go barefoot. I can't step on some kids. Lego, it's not or get something poked in my foot during an emergency. That's not, I don't even like stepping on anything barefoot. So that's just me. I'm just a weirdo like that though.
Well, you're not alone. So I'm into top 3 now. So you ready?
Go for it.
Your top 3?
Yeah. Yeah, ish. Go ahead.
Well, catch up. Go.
Yeah. No. I'm ready. I'm in the 3. I just didn't rank well. You ranked. And I didn't rank.
My goodness. All right. My third most important for me is weapons of self-protection.
Yep.
To me, it's not first, but it's third.
Yep.
This can be a lot of things.
Sure. Yep. I've got
I know that there's kind of the basics for me is I will have a cutting device, which can be used for utility.
Right.
Safety. A lot of things happen. Let's just be honest. You got to cut yourself out of a seatbelt. You got to cut someone else out of a seatbelt. You need to cut a dog loose or a horse loose. You need to cut a bridle off of a horse who's hung up. You need to have a knife. You need to know how to use it, and it needs to be sharp.
I'm gonna interrupt you because I want to pause at knife for just a second, because like obviously I'm the dude, right? I'm always gonna have a Benchmade or something with me. I guarantee you've got 5.
We just saw somebody who had one of these on him.
Oh, yes, we did, as a matter of fact. But he was unarmed, though, man. You got to be careful.
Oh, that's right. He was peacefully unarmed.
He was peacefully unarmed with a raptor claw. But no, honestly, it is a strange thing to me. Men, I want to talk to you now, ladies. This is for you too. I put a new Benchmade in my wife's purse for Christmas last year. Okay, but like I just want to say this: in 2020. I cannot tell you how many men I know that do not carry a knife every day. And it is the weirdest daggum thing in the history of the universe to me. It's so foreign. Like what is happening in the world that men have gotten away from at least having one tool all the time? I'll give you an example. Last year we were sturgeon fishing last winter, and it was getting dark, and in February on the Columbia River, you do not want to be out after dark. Like that's not a big thing. That's not a good thing, I should say. And the anchor got stuck. And so We would have either had to leave the buoy and stuff or whatever. We tried to pull the anchor. We couldn't get it up. It was hung on a rock. We've since changed the style of anchor that we use, and I was able to reach down in the water and cut the rope below the buoy ball and save the majority of the anchor line. I was made so that we weren't stuck anymore. We were able to get home and get safe. And here comes Phil back into the mix. Did I get you, buddy? Are you back? Are you back again?
Yeah, now you're fuzzy. It's your turn.
Okay, my turn to be a little fuzzy. I'm sorry. But anyway,
This is our very expensive Alaska internet.
yeah, very expensive Alaska internet, folks. Let's give it a hand for the Alaska internet company. But that's all right, brother. I'm not worried about it. But no, how are these guys not carrying knives? Is what I'm trying to say. Like, you never know what you're going to need a knife. It might not even be about self-defense. It might just be about self-preservation. You got to cut that seatbelt. You got to get away from something like an anchor rope or whatever. Carry a dag-darn knife, everybody. Put it in your pocket. You don't have to spend, you don't have to go drop $250 on a knife. You can go down to Bi-Mart and grab yourself a nice $60 or $70 Kershaw or something to get you started. Anything. Carry a knife, dadgummit.
Carry a knife. I'd say I think I've got 4 or 5 or 20 within arm reach here, and this is in my office. Anyway, the reality is, folks, you don't have to carry something tactical. It doesn't have to have springs and auto things on it. It does need to be sharp enough to accomplish the job.
Yep.
A dull knife is a dangerous knife. But the bottom line is this: if you've ever heard somebody, whether it be an animal or a person, die by fire, it is a horrible thing that you will never forget. About the worst thing I could ever think of is if I had to sit there and listen to that because I didn't have the tools to save that life from being firm. And you just get caught up in things. And as we said, being unprepared is really no excuse.
Absolutely.
So the knife is the bare minimum. With my knife comes a pocket gun, usually a hip gun, a truck gun, a carbine, possibly a shotgun. Let's just face it, if I'm bugging out and I think I'm covering my wife in places, then I need to have the ability to do that from 1,000 yards away quietly.
Sure.
And those things are probably all going with me because, back to what was the 10th one, the least important things were things that I can fit and protect with me that are very important or non-replaceable.
Right.
And for a lot of us, that might be some of our firearms or other weapons.
Sure.
I don't just take guns. I don't always just use guns. I have other things. I meant to bring one down here. I carry a walking stick or a cane with me. Not just because I'm getting to be old and broken.
Not just because you tore your leg off.
The reality is, not just because of that, but the reality is, once you have a beard, you can get away with taking a hickory cane or even a shillelagh into any environment, including an airport, right past TSA and anyone else. They will allow you to carry your walking device.
That's right.
And something, if you've never seen what a shillelagh can do.
Rich, Marsh says he's covered. That's awesome. Yes, Marsh, you're qualified to carry a walking stick. That is true.
Yeah. So that's my number third.
Okay.
That's my third least.
Yeah, absolutely. Go. So I had I've been modifying my list a little bit since we've been chatting, but I'm going to stay true to it. I'm not going to chicken out. I had like an expanded tool kit, like not like a tools of your trade kit, but my number 3 was an expanded tool kit. I was going to tell people, like FEMA, at least have a multi-tool. Okay, go down, drop $50 on a decent Gerber or a decent Leatherman, right? I like the more like $190. I like that mutt that they have, those kinds of things. But I mean, honestly, just a cheap Gerber. And I'll give you an example. Save my bacon, well, not my bacon, someone else's bacon. I was driving back from Colorado last year after we moved the Leons to Fort Collins, and I was stopped at a rest stop trying to use the bathroom. It was late one night. I came outside from you doing my business, doing the business, right? I was there for a minute or two, and I came out, and some fool's trying to siphon the gas out of my truck, and so like I knew this was not a good neighborhood to be in, and so I shooed him along and helped him to understand that was probably
I was going to say, were you going to use your multi-tool to help him?
No, but I want to wait. I just want to wait. So
I have an Alaskan multi-tool. It's called an axe. It seems like that might have helped you better.
It's called an axe. No, I used it.
We don't carry any of these little Oregonian small flimsy things that break as soon as you try to use them.
There was a different tool that may or may not have been applied toward that man, but yes, something similar to that. Yes. Something that goes from my cold dead hands, as Johnny B would say. But so no. What happened was I was pretty frustrated and I wanted to get out of there, and so I jump in my truck and it was one of those that you make the loop, and I make the loop. I get back around the other side, and here's this woman working on her car, like she's like frantically trying to work on her car, which can be a security risk. It can be a trap. So you got to be careful about who you help in the middle of the night at a rest stop, right? Especially when there are nefarious people about, but I felt pretty confident that I had what I needed to take care of the situation. And so I got out, and the only tool that I could get to, because I had packed all this stuff in my car, I would have had to unload the back of my truck, was a multi-tool. And I was able to reinstall her heater hose with a Dagdarn Gerber multi-tool that my friend Philip Dossett gave me as a random gift, like $50 multi-tool. And she was able to get back on the road, and she was actually going to help her daughter who was in a crisis, and she didn't have time to be stranded at a rest stop. So praise God for the silly little multi-tool, or the bag of toolkit that you may or may not have to throw into the rig. So that was in there for mine. Again, my stuff's not ranked, but some of my important things are coming up.
That's good. The basics of the ability to make basic repairs, however you're going to do it.
Yeah.
It can be life-saving. That's what we're getting at.
Yes.
It might have been for her.
Correct. Rich says the Bible. Marsh says the Bible. The Bible. I have the Bible. I have my communication device. I carry my Bible right here.
Rich.
Carry my Bible right here, Rich.
Rich, see, we all have these fancy things now. Have you seen one of these, Rich? You know what? I'm going to show you the one that Rich has. I mean, this was upgraded enough, right? This.
Bring it over in front of your face. Bring it over in front of your face.
I'm at the end of the cord.
Oh, I can't see it, man. I can't see it. It's cut off.
Can't see it. I don't have an old rotary one anymore. The whole, plug it into the wall. All the conversations happen in the kitchen because that's where the phone is.
Right. I remember that with that huge long cable. Right, that huge long cable that was always like every once a week you had to untangle the cable. Right. I mean, and it was madness. I remember when we got our first cordless phone. And here we go. We're talking about great technology, and so I remember when I got my first cordless phone. That was amazing because I didn't have to untangle that stupid line anymore. Anyway,
yeah.
Rich is probably.
Well, I was worried about security, so I didn't use them. Yeah. All right. My number 2 is cash.
Cash.
There's this thing in Alaska that makes the impossible happen, and it's called the $100 bill.
I remember.
I remember. Is universally accepted in Canada. I've had things happen in Canada, and basically the answer is you're not from here, and you don't look very nice, and I don't like you, and I don't know. I don't know why people say that to me, but I don't have anything. You say no habla, and you say, well, but you're Canadian.
Right.
Doesn't make sense. But I have noticed that even a Canadian will help you when you start breaking out $100 bills.
That is true. I remember being stranded with you with a borrowed Suburban sunk to the axles on the beach. And were it not for a couple $100 bills, that would have probably been
20s and 50s aren't going to do it.
20s and 50s aren't going to do it. Couple of hundos, and we got a tractor to pull us off the sand. That was zero fun.
So let's talk about cash, though.
Cash.
Realities behind carrying cash. How much cash? What kinds of cash? as we joke about breaking out $100 bills, the reality is how many $100 bills is it going to take? Well, as many as you have in your hand,
That's right.
as many as you pulled out of that pocket.
Right.
So you need to spread them around. You need to know what you're reaching for and where.
Right.
You need to have something other than a $100 bill.
Right.
You need, unless you plan on paying more than everything costs, you need to be able to get to as close as possible.
Yeah.
Because the reality is,
nobody's
in
making
these
change.
situations,
Nobody's making change.
Nobody makes change.
That's right.
It doesn't work like that. Now, I know a lot of people say I carry, well, a debit card, a credit card. Yes, you should. I don't carry debit cards. I don't have anything that is linked to my bank account in any way.
Right.
Those will go up in the fire, and that's just fine. They'll never be found, and that'll be the topic when we're done here is what should you leave?
Yeah, what should you leave?
I take with me a minimum of 2 credit cards.
Right.
All right. One of them is a very low balance. I have purposely set it to be no more than $2,000, or it might be $3,000 now. $3,000.
Right.
If somebody steals it and takes $3,000, and even if I somehow get stuck with all of it, I can survive that. That's not going to break me.
Right.
Right. If you travel anywhere, through Canada especially, your credit cards are going to get shut off because you're going to do things that are not normal, and your credit cards may get shut off.
My
credit
debit
cards
card
get shut
got
off
shut off yesterday. My debit card got shut off yesterday.
Well, we could talk to the church bookkeeper about that, but
no, it was fine. I called my friend at the bank and I was like, "Hey, man, it was me. There was no fraud. We're good."
Yeah, well, I've made some significant purchases at with Trigicon lately also.
There was right after some purchases with Aero Precision yesterday.
And well, the thing is, my credit cards don't flag from those anymore.
Right.
So
right.
They're not as unusual. But what is unusual is $50 to $100 or $200 in gasoline in a line, getting somewhere, right? And that's the sort of automatic thing that flags and will turn off your credit card. So you need to have 2 minimum.
Yeah.
You need to have 2. I carry one that has a huge balance, and cold dead hands, I will be dead before you get it off of me.
Right. Well, that's why you have the other one as a decoy, right? Like you have the here, yeah, man, take my wallet, man.
I didn't bring that up, but I carry a decoy wallet if I ever leave town. I have a decoy wallet that is in my back pocket where most people carry a wallet. It has a real ID with an incorrect address on it. It has a credit card that actually works.
Yep.
That has a $1,000 limit. And it has other cards that are old and canceled, or whatever. And then it has some filler stuff in it, but it looks like a legitimate wallet, and it has some cash in there. I usually put less than $100, but enough to be believable.
Yes.
And if someone is taking my wallet, that's the wallet that they get.
Yep. That's right. That's right.
Okay. Because my, DOD ID cards and other things like that are in my real wallet are probably somewhere where people are not going to find it. And I'm not going to tell anybody where I carry those wallets.
Yeah.
But I mean, they don't stink, and they're not easily gotten to.
Well, so. and I'll say this too. Let me just speak to the folks that are a little upset, right? Because Phil just said that he's going to carry a fairly substantial arsenal of weapons with him. My next one on the list is defensive weapons. So I'm always going to have a knife with me. I'm usually going to have some kind of array of firearms. Those situations are always a part of who I am. And I know a lot of people would say, well, you're telling the internet, and now, I've got a YouTube channel that's called Tactical Pastor. I've been exposed.
I've been doxxed.
I've been doxxed. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All that stuff's a reality, right?
We've been a focus for a long time.
But a lot of people would criticize us, be like, oh, well, why would you kill someone for trying to steal your wallet? Well, listen, I don't want to. Like, I don't wake up every morning thinking, gosh, I really hope someone mugs me today so I can put an end to those people. I carry a backup wallet. I carry a dummy wallet so that is less of an option. Like, I don't want to have to go immediately to defend myself. I'd much rather feign compliance. I'd much rather put my hand, by the way, when someone says put your hands up, this is putting your hands up, right? Someone put your hands on your head. This is putting your hands on. I mean, unless it's law enforcement. But feign compliance here, man. Take my wallet. Go for it. What do you need? What can I do to help you? Now if they have a weapon, it's another story, right? I'm gonna go home and care for my family. But yeah. So one of my very high ranking things are my defensive weapons. Now, some of you either can't have a firearm, you don't have any kind of firearms training, and now is the wrong time to try to start carrying a weapon because it's your right, according to the Constitution. It's your right, but maybe this is the wrong situation to begin that journey. Grab your kid's t-ball bat. Make sure that you've got a walking stick, like Phil was talking about a second ago, something that you can at least push away, create some distance, knock somebody on the head, and deter them from wanting to mess with you. Don't be a target. That's what I'm trying to say. Don't be a target.
Creating some space and showing someone that perhaps there will be easier targets somewhere else to prey on is typically a good idea.
Right.
Yeah.
So Marsh says, I'm not upset. No snowflake here, sweetie. All great info. Thank you so much. This is my friend. You're welcome, Marsh. Thanks for being a part of the broadcast tonight, buddy. And we picked on you a little bit, but you are an incredible, valuable friend, and you're a fountain of knowledge, man. You should come on here and talk this kind of stuff with me sometime. I would love to have you as a guest. So my final. It goes back to one you've already listed, is the category that I call essentials. And that goes back to everything you can carry, that you can defend and you can protect, right? I'm talking about when I open my safe, there's a file. When I open my safe, there's a file with the birth certificates and the social cards and the deeds and those things that need to be in that file. I'm not going to carry giant packets of insurance information because that's all online now, and I'll be able to get that later down the road. But I might carry a sheet with my insurance company information, policy numbers, those kinds of things, just to be able to quick access that. I have a laminated sheet with emergency phone numbers on it. If I get separated from my cell phone, let's just face it, I'm lucky if I remember my wife's phone number. So that's important stuff. And then there's also kind of a drawer of valuables, right? My wife she doesn't have a lot of jewelry. I'm not a wealthy man. I wish she had more jewelry, but she doesn't. So those valuable things are all going to get pulled in the same moment and put in the same bag. So those kind of essential things is kind of my last things. The other thing is, I would say, hopefully by now you have digitized really important historical photos. Grandmas and grandpas and legacy things that you want to remember. But if you need to grab a photo album, this is the category you're going to want to put that in. And special family things, heirlooms. Some of you've got that really important family Bible. You've got that family genealogy book or whatever it might be. That's the category you're going to want to put that in. And that's my final.
Yeah, mine was at number 10. No.
Yeah. No, it was. Yeah, exactly.
No, I think everybody now has one of these.
Yep.
This is not my one. This is just a random one, but because I'm not going to show you the my one, it's in my because mine is digitally secure.
Right.
And mine is password encrypted because I'm not going to fight with that. That's not one of those items that I'm going to make my stand on. And it's not. It is inconvenient to lose everything. However, there's very few things I'm going to make my stand on and exercise my carry insurance with.
Yeah.
And a digital information or stealing credit cards and things like that, that's not it for me. But on my one, I carry all the things that you talked about, except that I also include something a lot of people don't think about is when things are over, when you're trying to get back into the area. It is very common in these zones, and whatever it is, whether it's going to be a FEMA disaster zone or a local emergency, or even just back in to something where they've told people to leave and you want to get back in, right. You're going to need to be able to prove somehow that you have a reason to be where you are.
Sure.
And as great as it is to have one of these, and you should absolutely have copies of your mortgage, your deed, your bill of sale. I'm talking every vehicle.
Titles.
You need to have a copy of your title. You need to show that everything that is not on your person, even things on your person, so you don't get falsely accused of looting.
Yeah, that's right.
Rioting. When I've got a small arsenal worth $30,000 to $40,000 in the 6 firearms that I have on me,
right?
I'm going to show some ability of ownership, even if it's just the serial numbers of my ACOGs linked to the purchase sales.
Yep.
I'm not going to take my stuff, put it on someone else's. The reality is we're not going to go into the whole serial number thing and everything else, right?
No.
No, you want to go into that because most of the ones that coming on this trip are they don't have those things. So medical records. Okay, I'm a veteran. My medical records are no business seriously thick, and the reality is the VA loves nothing more than to deny care. They love it. They absolutely live and die on it. It's their favorite thing to do. I don't care what they say.
Yeah.
To a veteran, your DD 214 and your medical records are some of the most important things that you have. And the reality is getting help afterwards, getting assistance. There's a lot of things that those who have some sort of a service record, if you can quantify or prove this service record, all the way down to some medals. So if you have certain medals, you'll be afforded certain privileges and access that others won't. And people who have those types of medals know what we're talking about, but maybe didn't think about it. Okay, yeah. So the one place that all of those medals will show up on is a DD-214. If they're not on there, you've either lying or you've not taken the time to correct the idiot working in the MPF.
There you go.
So get it fixed or you're lying.
There you go.
So let's see. What else is in there?
What do they call that? Undocumented valor? Is that what they call it? Or stolen valor. That's right. That's what they call that.
Stolen valor? Yeah. Well, there's going to be a whole lot of stolen valor happening in situations like that, and I will sit back, grin, and laugh, and continue on my way somewhere else.
So, along what you're saying, let me interrupt real quick because Marsh is making some good points over here. So he says,
yeah, let's hear.
So he says one of the things, not to derail you, is a little off topic, is video your house contents. As you're walking out the door.
All right, now you're
okay. I'm cutting you off. So try to include serial numbers and big ticket items, such as firearms. You did mention serial numbers, so Marsh is making a great point. Yep, the TV, those kinds of things.
DVD player. If it's worth more than $50 and you're going to make a claim.
Yep.
Because your insurance company is going to say anything that has a value over either 50 or 200, depending on what your insurance is.
You better prove that it was there when it burned up.
You're not only that quick walk around. It's one of the last things I'm going to do is I walk around.
Yeah.
While I'm securing, I'm videoing, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep,
okay.
Absolutely.
Because I've already walked around in the conversation we'll have next and stashed stuff all sorts of places.
Right.
And I've already had to walk around to the 8 different locations where I keep my cash to get it all because I'm not leaving it to burn.
Right.
Different conversation.
Yeah. No, I got you.
But yeah, service records, deeds, titles, family medical records. You mentioned contact for family information.
Yeah.
You need to know how to get a hold of your family.
Yep.
And so the part that I was talking about, if it's not on this, which everything is on this, you have one laminated, and you said laminated, one laminated card about this size that folds up.
Yep.
And that should have your proof of residence.
Yep.
A copy of your ID. And other information that you're going to need in order to get back to your home or to make emergency. And put your emergency contact information on there because it's just like when they find that 1 foot over in the corner. It's nice if it's got your blood type and your name attached to it so they can at least get your foot back to your coffin.
That is a good point. I agree.
Okay. That is my most important thing is my secure thumb drive and my one laminated card. And that is the entire extent of all the documents I'm taking because that's everything I have.
That's awesome. So, I mean, you're going to have a whole separate case just for all of that because that's a big deal. Or it's on your thumb drive.
Well, it's my one thumb drive
right.
and my one laminated card.
Yeah.
And it's not easy to get at buried in whatever I'm taking with me, which is a non-obscure, non-tactical bag. But you know, I'm losing track of what I was going to say there. The serial number thing is important. They care about serial numbers matter for firearms because if looting is happening, they need to know what is gone and whether it's yours or not. And when stolen items get found on people who need to have their faces bashed in, a lot of times they'll put lists of serial numbers and describe these items. And, it really helps law enforcement if you can say, oh, yeah, I've got a copy of that bill of sale right here.
Right.
I can get it to you. But the one last thing I want to say about this is it doesn't have my family pictures and stuff like that on it, because if I'm going to go plug this into someone's computer,
Yes.
You need to not have a million folders popping up. You need to not have your family photos. There needs to not be some sort of, risk of virus.
Right.
And there should be nothing inappropriate.
Oh, absolutely.
On your stuff. And by inappropriate, that can be family photos.
Sure.
Personal.
Sure.
Yeah. So the whole world doesn't need to see it. The one on my keychain.
Yeah, that one's fine. You can put your family photos there for sure. And hopefully maybe you've got some kind of online backup system. You don't have to really even worry about that much. I mean, that's just for an evac situation. Again, bug out or bug in is a different deal, because in an SHTF situation, you can, and if you don't know what that stands for, Google it, because I'm at church. I'm not going to say it right now, but you might want to. You might want to at least be able to access your Carbonite and get your drive online, those kinds of things. But that might not exist anymore if things got really, really sideways. So anyway, that's a different set. That's a bug in. That's a bug in situation. So let's head toward wrapping this up, and I want to get your advice. What am I going to do to prepare my property to leave? I like the video idea. In fact, I just did that for a great friend of mine. His house was very much in danger a few weeks ago during a big fire we had locally. And they couldn't get a hold of his parents. And I had a boat up at his property, and he's like, look, go check on my parents, grab your boat. And I was like, cool, I will do that. And thankfully his parents had left. They just weren't answering their phones. And then he said, while you're up there, do me a favor, just walk around, video all the tractors, he just bought a new piece of equipment. I was like, cool. I got a hold of his
model numbers.
Yeah. Those kinds of things. And so,
mileage.
I went through and just took a picture, a video of all of the, his side by side and the kids' four-wheelers and, those kinds of things. Took a picture of the other boat that I had up there, the drift boat. He's my wonderful friend who gives me a parking lot. So I'm very grateful for friends like that. So what am I going to do besides that to prepare my house, secure my house?
You need to think about what you're going to leave.
Yeah,
right?
Think about what I'm going to leave, and then we'll head toward wrapping up.
You're not going to take everything.
Correct.
You're not going to take everything.
No.
You are going to leave some things. I wouldn't leave cash, but
stuff, Allison. Sure, it's stuff. That's the word we'll use. Thanks, stuff.
Yeah,
sure.
There's stuff, but some stuff is harder to replace than others. And some stuff really can put you in a family bind. So what you need to do is think about where to bury things. And when people break into houses, they go straight to master bedrooms.
Yes.
And offices.
Master bathrooms. Yep.
And they're going to already look in your drawers. They're going to be looking for your fire safe. They're going to be looking for all these things. People don't always check every single drop ceiling tile. People don't always check, inside the puff pastry box in your freezer. People don't always.
Statistically, the least searched place in a robbery is the pantry. They don't want to sort through your groceries.
It is going to take you a long time to get through that 18 months of food that's in my pantry.
That's right.
And there's a whole lot of places that I can hide a whole lot of things in there. Now, I'm the sort that, back in March, I took all the toilet paper out of the one and put them into the secure gun closet. So, my 1 year supply of toilet paper has been some of the most secure items we own.
Sure.
But here's the thing. The concept is be creative. But you don't have a lot of time. And again, plan. And if you've already thought about what you're going to hide and where you're going to hide it, then do that. And here's the thing. As much as you may like to take a picture so you can remember later, if somebody gets your phone and figures out where you live, let's not give them all the evidence that they need to find every single thing you've hidden.
Yes.
So it'll be fun like Christmas for the next 2 years, finding everything that you've hidden
Right.
and forgotten about. But you need to put away the valuables, and I would suggest putting some low-hanging fruit out there.
Yes.
Don't make it too obvious, but you can get another DVD player, you can get another TV, you can get another whole lots of things, and the reality is put a little bit of cash out.
Yeah.
Put some sacrificial, stupid jewelry out.
Yeah.
Put it in the places that you would. I always put about $100 worth of $20 bills in a bank envelope, the one they give you cash in, and I put it in my underwear drawer because that's the first place that they're going to look.
Right.
Now, I also have written a note on there that says all sorts of very colorful things and describes what I'm going to do to them. I mean, I just figured they should live in fear for the rest of their lives that they're going to take even a penny out of my house and violate my family in that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, mean words are mean words. And
yes, of course.
I sometimes can speak the language of mean words when it's appropriate.
Right. Absolutely. No. I think all those things are really good things. And I think that, assuming your house doesn't burn down in a fire, you come back and your home is intact. Very rarely do looters and burglars take the time to go through a crawl space. If you've got an external crawl space access port, that's maybe a little out of the way or not real visible to everyone, crack that bad boy open, toss a couple duffel bags worth of stuff you want to keep around underneath there, and that's a decent place to put stuff. Because if you're coming back in a few days, you can gain access to that, pull that out.
Right.
It's
make it difficult.
Yeah, make it difficult. That's all we're saying.
Just make it take time.
Because here's the story. Let's just be real. All of the videos, all of the internet YouTubers that are getting sponsored by Ring or Simply Safe, or those are all wonderful stuff until the power and the internet goes away. And they've only got a short battery backup and a small cellular window, and let's just face it. One of the first things they do to a neighborhood that's fully evacuated, they cut the power. Because they don't want live wires fall in places making more fires.
It's dangerous for the first responders.
Exactly. And listen, folks, don't go hooking up power. Don't try to plug a generator into your system unless you know how to do that, because you can absolutely take a lineman's life. You have to be so careful. Down the line, you back power your house, it's going to go travel up the line, and you can kill people. So if you don't know how to fully disconnect your house from the grid, or if you haven't made a plan to be able to have that cutoff transfer switch installed into your home so you can plug a generator in and power it up, which you might want to think about doing. That's not a bad plan. Even if you don't have the generator yet, go by steps. Get your cutoff switch, then get your generator later, vice versa, right? Having the generator and not having the cutoff switch is cart before the horse in a lot of ways. But so those kinds of things that you can think about and you can run. Now that brings me to the power cutting off. You need to know your freezers are going to go down. Your refrigerator is going to go down. You're coming back to your family's food storehouse being completely shot. So I would highly recommend that all your food stores are not just frozen, okay? Use a pressure canner. Can half of that deer, put the other half in the freezer. Can some chicken. Pressure can some chicken and put those on the shelf. Those will still be there waiting for you when you get back. The chickens in your freezer, they will not be there. In fact, they are going to be the worst thing in the world at that point because you're going to have to clean that nonsense out.
Well, talk about that too. So how do you know about meat? That's a good one, right? You lose your freezer. At what point do you throw it away? What if it's not partially thawed?
If it's fully thawed, to me, if it's fully thawed.
Now, will you know? How do you know? No, how do you know? I have sacrificial bag of berries.
There you go.
The bag of berries is mush.
Yep.
And frozen. It means your freezer has completely thawed.
There you go.
And refrozen, because the power comes back on, your freezer turns back on.
That's right.
You don't know.
That's right.
Well, you need something in your freezer that's going to be an indicator that has happened.
That's right.
Because now you can't trust your meat.
No. Now, I will say this. With a good deep freeze, if it doesn't get opened, you've got a couple of days, right? So you should still test things out, even if the berries are toast.
I've gone 7 days.
Yeah. It's gonna stay cold. You've got a lot of thermal mass. In fact, if half of your freezer is empty, fill up your milk jugs with water, stack them in there so that you have thermal mass inside your freezer.
Yes.
That's a big thing. So and so make sure your freezer is full, both because we'd like for you to have 6 months of food in your house, and locked. That way people cannot just come and ransack. That way the animals. We had a raccoon open up our freezer one time because it's in the shed outside. You know, those kinds of things. It's on us. We need to lock it. So yeah,
I have an 8-year-old.
Yeah, you have an 8-year-old. I have an 11-year-old. He's definitely gone for the popsicles and wrecked some stuff. You know. Okay, so in wrap up, is there anything else that besides make it difficult for them? Any other ways you can secure your home to kind of keep things good?
Well, there's a lot of things that you can do to secure your home, but the biggest thing is, as much as most of us have already booby-trapped our entire surroundings and made it so that there's going to be some very unpleasant experience, let's be thinking about the first responders that mean you well and are going to come and try to save your house.
Yes.
And try not to injure first responders with your booby traps.
Yes.
You know, there's a higher chance that a first responder is going to come try and save your stuff, disconnect your gas line, disconnect your power, things they're going to save your house. And let's not injure any of them with all the caltrops that you spread around the bushes.
There you go.
Other exploding devices that may or may not be linked to the ports that no one ever uses around back.
100%.
You know, Dragon's Breath is a lot of fun, but you know, if you're not there to watch it, is it really even worth it?
No, not at all. And I would highly suggest that. If you wanted to make a plan, okay, we're talking about making plans. If you wanted to have sheets of OSB that fit your windows that you could screw into place really, really quickly to keep people from being able to just throw a rock through your window and jump in your house, at least
I don't love that because for firefighting,
yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you leave the door, those kinds of things. But you know.
Yeah. There's
if they're going to get in, if they want to get in, like, I mean, you can board up the whole world. They're going to get in if they want to get in. Just watch Home Alone, right?
Well, but the firefighter's not going to go through my walk-in closet.
No.
So that is a safe zone for caltrops.
There you go. Sounds like a plan. Hey, Phil, thank you so much for your time tonight, brother. I really, really appreciate it.
Good stuff.
Thanks for your wisdom and your knowledge and your humor and helping us to be more prepared and ready. I'll tell you what. In fact, actually, would you do me a favor?
Praying for all you guys.
Would you end us in prayer? Would you pray for our first responders and the folks that are struggling down here on the West Coast? I know you've got a little bit of heartburn with us weirdos that would still live in the lower 48, but I know you love us too. So
evac.
Evac, yeah, GTFL, yeah. So would you pray for us, for us, man?
Sure, yeah. Father, we ask that you would cover the first responders and the people and the wildfires. Quite honestly, our entire nation right now is in turmoil, much like the rest of the world. And the reality is, we need Jesus.
Yeah,
we need Jesus. We need Jesus. We need the ultimate Redeemer. We need the ultimate healer. We need the ultimate Father that many of us maybe didn't have. And what we really need to do is take a breath and realize those of us who have chosen to follow Christ need to be exempling Christ in our lives. And that doesn't mean that you can't do the sorts of things that we've been talking about here today. It doesn't mean you shouldn't be planning. To trust in God ultimately does not mean that you don't make a plan and have the means and ability to execute a plan. The reality is, as Christians, we need to be the voice of calm because we know that it is all going to be okay. Yeah. No matter how bad it gets, it is ultimately all going to be okay. We can rest easy in the love of Christ and his ultimate ability. He says he's going to take care of us, and he is going to take care of us. Even if we don't like it, he is going to. And we need to just be that calm to others. We need to be the face of Jesus to them. If you're supposed to give the shirt off your back, go ahead. I'm bringing 2 of everything so that I can give half away. And that's one way that you can be the face of Jesus. And I just would pray that for the people of Oregon. Be kind to each other. I'm not saying that people that need to be punched in the face shouldn't be punched in the face, but punch them, don't shoot them if you can.
Yeah.
That's the grace of God sometimes.
Yeah.
Anyway, my prayer for the people of Oregon is that it's safety.
Safety. Thank you. Yeah.
It's safety and that feeling of love and safety, and it'll come as you're getting smokier and smokier. I'm watching the church filled with smoke.
I mean, it is.
I'm
It's gotten
assuming-
worse. It's gotten worse.
I'm assuming it's not just, a spiritual thing. I mean, it could be. It's pretty cool what you got going on there. Yeah, appreciate that.
Nice effect.
No, none of you are welcome to come bug out to Alaska with me.
No, sorry. No, sorry.
Canada won't let you through.
No. Well, and I got to tell you, so many people, they find out, okay, oh, the pastor's got guns. I'm gonna run to his house. No, don't do that. That's a bad choice. Don't do that.
Especially if the cell phones are down.
Especially if the cell phones are down. Call first. Right. Now we get you supplied and situated at the church.
My thumb in your chest. I will feel for you and pray for you as you slowly drift out painfully.
That's right. Exactly right. So, all right, man, I love you so much. Thank you so much. Please give my love to the family. I hope the kiddos are doing great. And we will talk soon. Again. Okay. Thanks, buddy. Bye-bye.
Wow.
All right. Hey, thanks, everyone. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. We've had a nice crowd that's been watching this whole time. You guys are the best. Thank you so much to my buddy Phil Larson for hanging out with me. This has been a long broadcast. Probably edit this down to a smaller, shorter video, and then I'll re-upload that to YouTube later. But kind of think of this as a big podcast that you can listen to on the road for thinking about preparedness. Share it with your friends. Hit the like button. Come over to YouTube. Check out my channel. Kirk yourself, if you're watching from the Facebooks, do me a favor. Come over to YouTube. Hit subscribe on my YouTube channel as well. We do different stuff over there. That would be really, really, really wonderful. Also, I would always remind you that we have a disaster relief fund at our church that we try to help people. I've heard that there are some first responders in Oregon that are desperate in need of chainsaws. We're going to be partnering, hopefully, with River West Church to provide some chainsaws to first responders. So if you'd like to give to Bridge Church, you can give by texting Bridge TD to 77977, and we will absolutely put that money towards some disaster relief stuff. We might be housing families. If you're a part of the Bridge Church community, we may end up housing families at the church from the Portland area, and so kind of keep an eye out for that. We might be needing some groceries, those kinds of things. My friend Marsh, he might need a place. He might need a place to come and hang out. I don't know. Marsh, thanks for contributing tonight. Also, I just want to highlight Tanya's comment. Thank you so much for the encouragement there, and thank you too, Marsh. I appreciate you so much. And get ready for an invite, man. I want to have you on. We're going to talk about some of this stuff with you sometime soon. All right, brothers and sisters, I love you so much, but that love pales in comparison to how much Jesus loves you. I want you to rest in that love. Now go and build a bridge, everybody. We need it. Okay? Be kind to each other, just like Phil said. All right. Love y'all. We are